In this first edition of Under the Hood, we're going to take a look at the virtual orchestration used in my recent video of the 20th Century Fox logo and fanfare for the 1992 motion picture Alien 3. If you missed it, it runs about 40 seconds. Let's have a quick listen. I cannot lie, that reverb tail is nice. Brings the COVID-19 graphic in right on time. Alright, the first section you hear in this piece is percussion. And within this percussion stack, we have an ensemble of 4 snares from VSL. This is the Vienna Instruments Pro player. A VSL Synchron bass drum. That's the VSL Synchron player. A Hans Zimmer Series 1 timpani ensemble. Of course, you'll find that in the contact player. And the BBCSO Piatti cymbal. This is Spitfire's player. Too many players. All right, let's take a listen to this first section. That VSL Synchron bass drum is pounding, and it's one of the few instruments that I decided to add this Eventide black hole reverb plugin to. I automated it so that it stays off for the entire song except the last note. During that last note, maybe the last half of that note, it turns on and provides that incredible deep tail. Now, if you don't know how to automate plugins, please don't hesitate to ask. And if I can help, I will. Moving on to the second section heard in this piece, brass. We have 2 VSL Dimension horns. It's horn number 1 and horn number 4. British Broadcasting Company Symphony Orchestra solo horn by Spitfire, of course. Junkie XL brass horn. You haven't seen the Zine player. This is a good time to show you that. Yeah, I need another player like I need a hole in my head. Let's move on to trumpets. Trumpet number 1 is the VSL C trumpet. Trumpet number 2 is a VSL Dimension trumpet. All the Dimension trumpets are B flat. BBCSO trumpet solo. Junkie XL brass trumpet solo. VSL Dimension trombone. That particular trombone from the low brass section is a bass trombone. BBC Symphony Orchestra trombone solo. Junkie XL brass trombone solo. VSL tuba solo, doubled by a second VSL tuba solo, and it's playing one note, the last note of the song. One of the problems using various brass libraries is if you layer them, which means they play the same note in the same octave at the same time, you might have phasing issues. I was willing to risk that for the sake of variety. Did you happen to notice that black hole opening on the final note? All right, boys and girls, let's move on to the unmentionable section, shall we? That's right, woodwinds. In this case, it's pretty much a Vienna Symphonic Library shutout. with one exception. We have VSL Piccolo Solo, VSL Flute 1, the exception, BBCSO Flute Solo, VSL Oboe number 1, VSL Oboe number 2, B-flats Clarinet 1 and 2 by VSL, VSL Bass Clarinet, and Bassoons 1 and Bassoon 2. The woodwinds for the most part are doubling the strings in this piece, and both those sections are the last sections that you hear. You'll notice that the woods play considerably softer than either of the other two sections that you've already heard. Just why do I call woodwinds unmentionable? Because far too often these days, you guys aren't using them. How many times does someone sit down to mock up a Hans Zimmer piece by ear, do a magnificent job, yet 9 times out of 10, not use a single woodwind? You know why? Because they can't hear them. When used properly, woodwinds don't poke through. They don't stand out. They provide the glue that bonds all these other sections together. Now to the orchestra's most popular section, strings. Violins 1, VSL Appassionata, muted, 20 of them. Violins 2, BBCSO, 14 of them. There is no option to mute. I'm not happy about that. And for those reasons, I used Chris Hines violins to double the BBCSOs. Chris Hines violins can be muted. The rest of the strings are VSL Appassionata, all muted. Violas 14, cellos 12, basses 10. Collectively, this is a large string ensemble. So as you might expect, it does play louder than the woodwinds we just heard. Let's have a listen. Those strings bring a great deal of energy to the lows, mids, and highs. I think they literally carry the piece off the page of, say, sheet music and out into the atmosphere. But they're not alone. There is one secret ingredient in this piece, a non-orchestral element, and that is Spitfire's BT Phobos. BT Phobos is a very special plugin that, to my ear, feels organic. You can set it up the way you want, load your MIDI, listen to it 10 times, and never be sure you're hearing the same thing more than once. It's similar enough that you know it's the same thing, but it's never precisely the same thing twice. Alright, that's it guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I intend to look under the hood much more frequently in the future. See you next time.